Yeah, we're excited to be back, and we're excited about our next guest coming. But before I introduce him, I just want to remind everybody that it's really important to watch the show on a weekly basis because it's different, Ted, than what we do at the FixedOps Roundtable events. In fact, you see the background here is a bistro.
I like
and the
that.
reason that we do that is because when we bring our guests on and you and our guests have a conversation, it's not about necessarily their product, even if that comes up. It's really about who they are as people. What are they thinking about? What was their background? And so with that said, I am very pleased to introduce for this week, Stephen Apicella of Strategic DX. Stephen, welcome to the weekly edition.
Great to be in the bistro. I love it.
and you know what, Steve, that really goes back to the very first FixedOps Roundtable Weekly we did with Ed Roberts, which we just ran after Thanksgiving as a rerun, if you will. It was Ed's idea that we talk about the backstory and find out a little bit more about him. And that's kind of stuck, with all the guests that we've had on the show. And there's really nothing like that, to find out what makes people tick and not only their successes, but, maybe some failures they've had along the way. I know I've probably failed more time than I've succeeded at anything, so there's a lot of
it's part of the recipe, is it not? There's so many great innovations out there and solutions, and there's a lot of people working really hard to improve our industry, but the secret sauce is and always has been the people. That's never going to change. So no, I love what you guys are doing here, and happy to be, it looks like Italy, maybe somewhere. Happy to be joining you.
We had Marco Zwanenberg on a few weeks ago, and he recognized some of the writing here, and he's from the Netherlands. So I think there might be a Netherlands wine or beer on there. I'm not quite sure. But hey, okay, so tell us a little bit about Stephen Apicella. Who are you? How'd you get into the car business? Where'd you grow up?
So from the Chicagoland area originally, spent the first 40 years of my life there. I love Chicago. It's always will be where I came from. I'm now the last 10 years, my family and my company have been in the Denver, Colorado area. And, the only thing I say about, and again, nothing bad about Chicago. I love the people there. I love the food. I'm not a fan of the weather, but it's definitely a world-class city like New York. Is the only regret for moving to Denver is that we didn't do it sooner. It's been brilliant out here and a great transition for us. My influence in the, what brought me here, I started off running a paintless dent repair company, a vendor, a reconditioning company. And was exposed to the F&I side of the industry and post-sales in the early 2000s when the F&I administrators started to create what we call today ancillary products. Mm-hmm. And these ancillary products, when they first came out, third-party administrators assumed, hey, we can use the same mechanisms we use for mechanical, and this will all work. And, as often is the case, there's more interest in selling initially than anything else until you have to fix your first car. And different than a mechanical service contract where there's a room full of mechanics at the dealership waiting for the next service repair, the dent guy or the LA wheel guy or the windshield guy is not standing there waiting for the next car. Yeah. So as with a large footprint in the United States, and with the right people, I'd always tell people that we didn't hire a guy, we hired the guy, because just like I said it's about the people. Paintless dent repair is a great process, but only in the hands of the right individual. So we always looked for the guy, not a guy. And because of the strength of our footprint and the strength of the quality of technicians, we became really popular really fast, related to servicing the claims that resulted from these, what we call ancillary products today, PDR and LA wheel and windshield. And that started a journey that was not intended. When I first connected with the F&I side of the industry, I thought, boy, what could go wrong here? More people are going to learn about what I do. More people are going to learn about these disciplines, and I assume I'm going to get paid for it along the way. And what I got was one hell of an education about the way these products really work. And that inspired, I guess, the Chicagoan in me, which is that Midwestern attitude of, first, I want to help. It's kind of bred into us as a Midwesterner. How can I help? And then second is, if people aren't willing to do it, then get out of my way. And I'm going to do something about it. And I've been really blessed along the way to have had the experience with a lot of great people, great third-party administrators and their CEOs, but as important, with no disrespect to them, the teams that fuel their companies and the agencies that distribute their products and the dealers that leverage their solutions have been a major influence on the things that we're doing today.
And a lot of people from outside the industry don't realize all that goes on behind the scenes in our industry to make all these things work and make them all work correctly. And you figured that out really early, in the game.
And one of the things, I think a good analogy for it because I'm, a road warrior, I'm out in the field every week, only sidelined for a short period of time because of the pandemic, but still actively out on the road today, which I love. I don't think you can provide solutions and innovations without being immersed into the environments and the people that you serve. We have to be students of the industries if we're going to be proper contributors of it. But one analogy that I think of every time I'm on an airplane and I look around is I'm always blown away about, if you think about it, the immense orchestration it takes to make that plane go from point A to point B. All the behind the scenes, the folks on the ramp, the ticketing people, the folks remote, the pilots, the flight attendants, and everybody else, the mechanics, everybody that makes your trip a reality is amazing when you really think about it. And the auto industry is not unlike that. It's a great orchestration of a lot of people that have a similar mission. How do we create a better experience, and how do we generate more revenue and create better retention so that we get more revenue? I think is a common pursuit. We just have different ways of doing it. But in a dealer's world, how many support people do they have? How many support companies? How many employees? The relationship with the manufacturer, all the great things that are being done before and after the sale is a massive orchestration. And when you can see that and understand how you can contribute to it and improve it, while still understanding, I call it spatial awareness. It's like, you can't just be aware of where you're at. You got to be aware of where everybody else is at and what they're doing and what their purpose is, so that when you make a contribution, it works, and it doesn't just work for the contribution, but it works for the way dealers do business today. And I'm, again, a person in my life once said, every day for him is Saturday. And I love that saying because I feel the same way. When you can wake up every day enthusiastic about what you're doing and what you're contributing and who you're working with, that's a pretty good place to be. And for me, every day is Saturday. I love it.
I love that saying. And I know we know a lot of the same people in the industry. Joe St. John comes to mind. Great
guy. Love him.
Just a dynamic individual. One of the things that you picked up on early and you said to me was our industry's focus maybe in the last 10 years on digital retailing. And, really that's just the beginning of it. That's really not the end all, because there's been a focus on, getting, the sale, as you just said,
customer acquisition. Yeah.
But beyond that, it fails.
Yeah. And, I think I always underscore this so people understand where I'm coming from. I like digital retailing. We're not a digital retailing company. I like it, but the thing that people have to understand about digital retailing is the associated digital experience abruptly ends before the sale. And then our industry has to look in the mirror and ask itself, is it our mission to only sell a car or also earn a reoccurring customer? And should the sale of a vehicle be the end of the desired dealer-customer digital engagement or just the beginning? And I think that's part of, again, when I see a lot of folks out there that call themselves disruptors, we always have to look at the desired end result and work backwards from there. Digital retailing is an important part of the dealer-customer journey, but it's only a part. And again, I won't quote statistics here, but I think most of us know our industry, with cars or not, is brilliant at selling something. But we are really, really poor at retaining the customer thereafter. And I think about digital retailing, again, it's sobering when you really think about it. When the associated digital experience abruptly ends before the sale, what does that tell the customer? It says that's it, transaction over, relationship over. And this is such an important topic today for so many reasons. When you talk about Gene and his news, and we're talking about things like AR and Meta and all these things that are emerging technologies, at our core, we're really good at selling cars and we're not really good at retaining customers. And then enter things like the 100% online retailer, which today they're just selling cars, but as Gene mentioned, for the moment, right? There's definitely a pursuit that goes beyond just selling the car. They see it, but that's the great thing, that the brick and mortar dealers today have such a strong advantage that they're not leveraging, which is beyond the point of sale. And that's what, it's the very essence that differentiates the brick and mortar dealer from the 100% only online retailer, is the brick and mortar dealer's unique ability to locally service their customers better than anybody. And, the fixed ops portion of our business is so valuable, but so under leveraged. When we do things in our platform, like sell service contracts and warranties after the point of sale, which, this is one of those revelation things when you look at it. How important is F&I to a dealer's financial success? How important is fixed ops to a dealer's financial success? Well, F&I, as an example, we leave F&I revenue up to this micro moment in a menu presentation after a customer's gone through a 1, 2, 3, 4 hour car buying process. And that's it. Right. And there are some other, weak attempts to pursue customers after the point of sale with phone solicitations and junk mail. But should revenue be left up to that micro moment? Should the dealer's contribution be left to just selling a car? The way we engage customers, should that be through phone solicitations and junk mail and random text messages? Or is there a better way to do it? And Ted and Gene, like I've talked to both you guys about, my passion about this, about transformation, there's so many blueprints of it. You mentioned a few in the news, these $1 trillion companies. How did they become $1 trillion companies? Whether that's Amazon or Apple or Microsoft or Google. And none of them is about a one-time only purchase. No. Those companies are titans because they've figured out the desire engagement throughout the whole process before and after the sale. I think Carl Sewell was one of the first dealers in the 80s when he wrote the book Customers for Life, who really picked up on it and brought the attention that we need to treat our customers as customers for life. Yeah, and you take a look at it. So, I think this might ruffle some people's feathers, but, I don't mind doing that, which is, even things like a prepaid maintenance program, which the idea there is you sell a customer prepaid oil changes, but they must come back to your dealership to retain that benefit. That's a loyalty program. Well, are we strong arming customers to come back, or do we want to inspire them to come back? There's a difference between the two. And I'm not saying prepaid maintenance programs are wrong, but that can't be the only mechanism to make a customer come back to your store. We want them to want to come back to your store. And there's a reason for it. Again, dealers can uniquely service their customers better than anybody after the point of sale. That's irrefutable. But the truth is, it's so lost that most of the time the customers aren't returning because, again, this whole front end transaction seems like there's a beginning and an end, and that's it. You sold me a car, I bought a car, and then I figure out the rest from there, where that should just be the beginning of the journey, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most. But how we do that and the processes that we deploy today, again, I don't think everything's broken. If somebody has analog processes that work, keep them, enhance them, leverage them. But I think there's a lot of connection things today that are lost when a dealer fails to communicate with their customers, especially on a smartphone today. It's the way people want to connect. And there's a way to do that and to unify the journey. To a customer, their ownership experience includes finding a car and buying a car and servicing their car and then buying the next car. That's part of their journey. From our dealership world's perspective, those are fragmented pieces. So like our mantra is connect the disconnected. And that's because with a lot of experience, there's a lot of things that do work in the auto retailing industry, but there's a lot of disconnected parts too.
And that's something that Gene and I were talking about a little bit earlier on before you came on, is you've really identified that entire customer experience. And you and I talked a little bit earlier about the employee experience as well, and the focus on that. So,
well, when you look at it, so again, an employee experience at a dealership and a customer experience at a dealership, you add those two things up, and that is your dealer experience, internally and externally. But again, I do think that, every time the industry looks at what's next, we have to think about what is the intended mission. What are we trying to do? And I think that gets lost sometimes. Are we just trying to sell a car? I'll give you a great example. I'm a consumer too, just like you guys are. And I can't tell you how many times as a consumer, and whenever I buy a car for myself or my wife or my family, I go through the car buying experience without revealing who I am or what I do. And I do that because, again, I want to immerse myself into the reality of what's going on. And one of the things that's sobering to me is after I've purchased vehicles, very nice vehicles, the only follow-up I get from the dealer is, did you fill out the survey? That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
There is no concerted effort to say, hey, you know what? Selling you a car wasn't the end. It's the beginning. We're looking forward to being on this journey with you. Because there shouldn't be another consideration for a customer that they should even think about. The dealer is more equipped with the right people and the right processes to best support the customer beyond the point of sale. We just have to continue to work to put those two things together so it's not diminished or lost.
Stephen Apicella is working hard, everybody, at bringing that experience together at Strategic DX, your dealer experience. And so, Steve, we want to thank you so much. And I also want to thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops community for your generous donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society at our most recent event.
Grateful to both of you guys. Grateful. I am a fan as well of what you do. I love the guests that you have on, and I love your mission, to educate and inspire and make people aware about how our industry can improve. And the secret sauce is people. So formats like this that allow us to come on and not just be a propaganda reel, I think it's valuable to that mission. So thank you guys very much for it.
Stephen Apicella, great story. Strategic DX.
Thanks, Stephen. We appreciate you. And you were talking just a little bit about, and Ted kind of introduced this, but about our mission. And as we move forward here, we ended our last event, Ted, very successfully toward that goal of raising $100,000 for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We didn't get there yet, but we knew that it was going to be a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, that's why we pushed it out till March, right?
That's right.
But for those of you who are interested in helping, you can still go to FixedOpsDonate.com right now and make a donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to help us get there. Ted, how much did we raise in the last event?
We raised a little over $60,000, and there's still some challenges that companies have made to their employees and distributors, where there's some more coming in as well. Yeah. So we're going to exceed that number. There's no question about that. And thanks to partners like Steve and, of course, Tom Dahl at Subaru and Liza Borges and Adam Aarons. We're very grateful to everybody who's played a big part in everything that we're doing there. Speaking of which, there is another event.
You guys, if you don't mind me adding to that real quick, it's, having gone through the process, it's really easy to donate. This is a great cause. Every little bit matters. And then tell somebody else about it. I mean, that's how you guys are going to reach the goal, and that's how we're going to overcome the challenges of leukemia. Is by making people aware, making the pathway to contributing easy, and then tell somebody else so that they can do the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's certainly a worthwhile cause, and really, really grateful to you guys for highlighting it.
Yeah. And let me show you a brief recipient of some of those benefits right here.
It's so vitally important that we have the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society on our side, be the front runner in the newest, most up-to-date technologies for fighting cancer.
To give or get help, visit lls.org.
Gene, can we get him on the show?
Yeah, hey, I have asked already.
Okay.
I've asked about that. We'd love to get him. And speaking of the show, the next show, right, is coming up March 9th, 10th, and 11th. And that's FixedOpsRoundtable.com. It's not March Madness. It's March Magic. We're going to be a part of that magic, raising that money for them.
Yeah, it's a great theme, and we're looking forward to that. That's going to be another 3-day event, and Steve will be there and be a big part of that as well. And we have a huge lineup with some big names that are going to be speaking at that. So I'm looking forward to announcing that sometime shortly around the holidays.
We are excited about it. So everyone, please make sure that you join us at that event. You can go right now to FixedOpsRoundtable.com and get your tickets early if you would like to do that. But we are so excited about what is coming up. And so, Stephen, thank you so much for being here today. And
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, you guys. Happy New Year to you and to everybody watching. And let's close it out strong in 21 and go after it for 22. We're ready.
Love it.
Indeed and amen. And as always, we are so grateful to our sponsor, BG Products, for helping us with this and the Fixed Ops Roundtable, the Forecast podcast. Help your customers be good for life with a lifetime BG protection plan. On behalf of Stephen Apicella and Ted Ings, I'm Gene Girdley. Thank you so much for joining us.